it's comics.fm. With me is Chris Austin. I am JP Black. Chris, first off, having you on is a big deal for me for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to talk about the silver coin and how you can play guitar magically with the power of a coin. But also, Chris,
badass.
You're the big man on campus on 98.1 KKFM, and now I'm second fiddle. I used to be like top chair or whatever, like, you know, if you're playing violin, your first seat or whatever. Like, what happened? How did you overtake me there?
That's messed up. Can I be honest here? Can I pull the curtain back?
You definitely can.
You moved away, man.
No, it's true.
You would definitely be the top dog. And trust me, I hear about it all the time. Man, JP, we did this with him. He was so awesome.
You don't hear that. That's made up.
No, you're beloved in Colorado Springs.
Thank you. Well, you know, I moved away and then I came back, of course. Yeah. And when I will tell you, when I had the afternoon slot on 98.1 KKFM in Colorado Springs, I always got from people, where's Mark
Stevens?
Where's Mark Stevens? And I'll never forget, there was a moment where somebody said, you got big shoes to fill. And I said, I'm not trying to fill any shoes. I have my own shoes to fill. I'm going to do the best I can.
Yeah.
And that was my line. And I remember there was a couple of, I don't know if you still see these guys at remotes, but there's a guy named Mike, and I forget his last name.
Yeah.
And he's in a pickup truck with a couple other buddies. Great guys, and they would come to events for me, and I've never had that in my life, and I probably will never have that again. It was like, and they would say, man, Mark was great, hilarious, but you, man, all this fun stuff, the games you're playing, all that. So I didn't have a lot of fanfare, I guess, but I had like a core group that were really excited to see me, and
they still love you. Yeah, I think it's cool that it's working for a heritage station with so much heritage. Like, you're just part of like a fraternity of people that have worked on this station, and I love that. Like,
well, and that, Chris, wasn't that a big deal for, you know, and we're going to talk about your radio history and of course the comic as well, but, you know, getting onto KKFM, this was your station as a kid too, right?
Yep. Yeah, and my dad's for sure. Like, that was, we were listening to this station forever. It used to be 96.5 KKFM.
Oh, so you are pretty old.
But we're going way back, yeah.
Was that 80s?
Yeah,
80s
yeah,
time?
early.
Okay.
My family moved here in 79. So I've been here. I'm pretty much a lifer. Yeah, I don't remember living anywhere else.
That's right, because you were in the Chicago area.
I was born in Elgin,
Elgin, yeah. And so it's just funny because that's kind of, where I spent most of my life, in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
And my first gig was in the western suburbs on the radio, you know, and it's kind of funny how things always work out there. But for you to then take over afternoons on this, like you said, that's the thing about KKFM. And I know a lot of markets, and anybody watching this, they probably know of a radio station in their local city or nearby city that's like the thing. You know, you had shirts of the station back then. It was from a time when the guys on the radio sometimes were bigger than the bands on the radio, right?
Yeah, the personalities. We had one named Red Noise here in Colorado Springs. Red Noise was like a radio legend.
That's awesome.
He was in the Freedom Rock commercial.
Oh, like the turn it up, man.
Yeah.
One of those two guys in the Freedom Rock was
I think he's
Red
like
Noise?
the one. He was like the one who said, "Hey, man, is that Freedom Rock?" Yeah, that was Red Noise.
That
was filmed in Colorado Springs.
Wow. You know, growing up on TV as my babysitter and knowing all of those commercials so well, I started to learn the songs in the order of the commercial. You know, so you'd hear like, you know, we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, and then it'd go into like, oh, Black Betty, and it was in the order of the commercial, and it almost seemed weird to not hear it in the order. So that's pretty wild.
That's funny.
So Chris, you've been in radio a long time. You were formerly on the alternative station in Colorado Springs, right?
Yeah, that's where I was before this. My radio job, last radio job before here, I was there for 5 years at 103.9, and I really liked the alternative format. It's a lot of fun working there.
Which there's some crossover. Like you and I are, you know, somewhat close in age, and like we wouldn't have thought back in the day that alternative and classic rock, I mean, those were like almost mortal enemies from our time. loving music in the 90s, and you've got all these alternative bands who are like, I'm not going to be the hair rock guys and the makeup, and I'm not going to be the womanizing guys in the 70s that are doing, Robert Plant hitting women with the fish and all that. We're not doing that. And now, what is it? We're all together.
It's classic rock, yes.
It is. It's so weird, right? I mean, it's still to this day, because you have listeners that tell you like, hey, that's not classic rock. Do you get some of that?
Blind Melon, man. Blind Melon, No Rain.
Okay.
Man, if I hear that song one more time, I'm going to never listen to your station again, brother.
Yeah. Until tomorrow. And
But yeah, I mean, it's, I'm in my 50s, so I think you're probably rapidly approaching that.
Yeah, we don't need to get into I'm 47 and will be 48 in October, so I'm getting there.
But man, I mean, if that's not classic, like, come on, don't let me die without hearing my music on the classic rock station.
Well, and I look at it from this standpoint, when everyone knows that the radio, it's serving a purpose. We're airing commercials and we're feeding an audience what they want to make them happy and keep listening. Everyone kind of knows that, even though we pretend like, well, why don't you play the B-side? Like, we know that. So let's just take that at face value and say, okay, if that's the case and we want to reach people that allegedly have money, we don't. But, people our age are supposed to have money. We don't.
Yeah.
That's the songs. Like, you were in high school in the early 90s? Right?
Yeah. In the 80s, and graduated in 91. So
okay, graduated in 91. So when you were a senior in high school, where you are basically forming your opinions about rock, the entire rock landscape was changing from 80s rock into Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains at the same time.
It was awesome. It happened this summer after I graduated.
That was a weird year. I saw an ad the other day. It was for a mug, and it was like the side of a bunch of tapes, like cassette tapes, and it had all the stuff that came out in 91. So it had the Black Album, I think like Poison or some of the other 80s bands had albums, and then Nirvana, Nevermind, 10, Dirt, or whatever, and it was kind of cool to see all on like one thing. Like, this is all, while these were opposed viewpoints back then, now they're on the same station.
Yeah. And it's fun, and you like all of them. They're all good.
Yeah.
So,
Were you at a station before RXP?
Oh my God. Yeah, man. I worked, I worked for, Kilo was my first radio station.
Okay, the hard rock station.
Kilo. Yes. And it was my dream job. And I worked there for a couple of years. And then I worked 10 years at the Clear Channel cluster here in Colorado Springs. Okay. So I worked for the hot AC station. I did nights on the country station. I've done everything. Yeah.
So you were Hop Along Chris on the country station.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every format. Well, isn't that also, while we have our favorite kinds of music, isn't that also part of being, not to pat ourselves on the back, but broadcast professionals, we should be able to do the job regardless of the product on the air, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're a personality. You're the same personality on every station. So I was never the most talented person.
Oh,
so
I wouldn't say
I
that.
was like, my goal was to be available for anything. Like, you need a night guy on country, I'll freaking do it, and I'll figure out how to be, competent at it.
Well, you'll get a cowboy hat that fits, and there you go. That's all you need.
I love country, actually. It turned out to be rock and country are similar lifestyle formats. Like, people live that music. And so everything is honest, and I like it. Yeah, I enjoy
really
country.
Good point. Would you say with that sort of rock and country, the listeners also have a high kind of bullshit detector to know, like, hey, is this guy legit or not? And you gotta be into that. They're gonna know if you're fake.
Yeah, no, I never was out there being like, man, I was roping cattle this morning, and now, no, I'm just a regular dude who likes sports and, likes to drink beer and party. And so.
It's a good thing that sports and beer go with everything.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
For sure.
I love that. So at this point now, you're, so on KKFM, you're also the guy that runs all of the events and promotions. So when someone hears a keyword to win tickets to something, you're the one. So when they used to bother me and say, JP, can you hook me up? Now I'd say, oh, no, here's Chris's cell phone number.
Yeah.
Feel free to call him at 3 a.m. and ask him for tickets.
Yeah, no, that's me. Or I don't know how to log into the app that I get my tickets from.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
yeah.
I don't have we don't have a smartphone. We get that a lot now. Like I don't have a smartphone. Well, that's how tickets come in.
It's hard, right? Because back in the day, it was always radio callers. Everybody could call the radio station. Caller 9, caller 100, whatever. You call, and that was the thing. Now we have social media, we have websites, we have texting, we have apps. Yeah, they're all ways to enter. And I mean, on one hand, it's like, come on, you got to have this. But on the other hand, I get it. Like my older brother doesn't have a smartphone. He's completely like anti everything.
Good for him.
Yeah. So he, and so that's his whole thing. No texting, no smartphone, no nothing. And I get it because I think about him when it's like, you know what? When I think it's like, come on, you don't have I'm like, wait a minute. There are people that are just, I'm not doing this, And hopefully I would say I'm insulting anybody, but they're not going to watch a podcast if.
No.
No, but I get it though. I get why you might want to not have that stuff.
But the world is, more and more going against those people, like where they're making it, where you have to have one.
Hey, how about go to a concert? And many of them, I mean, they don't even want paper tickets. They don't. You don't even get them. Like I had one. I forgot what it was for, but even if I wanted to print it out, it would be me printing an email, and it would look all messed up. So you have to have it on your phone.
I always thought that would be a great business to be like, have a little kiosk outside the concert and be like, hey, tell me where you sat and I'll print your commemorative ticket that you can bring with you for $5 or something.
It's a really good idea. There was, when I was in Des Moines, I was talking with the Wells Fargo arena there, and they were trying to come up with promotions and ideas. And we were kicking around the idea of, man, the people that keep all of their old ticket stubs, wouldn't they want something? And we couldn't really crack the code of like, how do you do it ad hoc on the spot, but then also so it looks real. It doesn't look like we just, but how cool would that be to have that? Because I miss all of that stuff. I miss tangible things. Like I want like real things, real medium, real physical media.
Yes.
I want like real lanyards. Like we got cool stuff, and tickets are part of that.
Yeah, for sure. Like it used to be a free piece of merch. Like you you kept it. I know I have a box of, hundreds of concert tickets. So
it's smart to put them in a box and not in your wallet like I did 20, 30 years ago. Because they were all faded. And I threw them out. So I'm like, I can't even tell what that was.
That's funny.
So Chris, long history in radio, and along with rock and roll has been obviously, something that's been part of our lives for so long. I thought looking at a comic, this is called The Silver Coin. And I picked this up one day, and in typical comics.fm fashion, I'm like, you know what? This looks good. I'm going to buy 2 of them because if it sucks, whatever. But if it's good, now I've got one to send out and use for the show. And in this case, I want to know, when you started this, and we're going to talk about kind of where it comes from, but basically the coin is acting as his pick there. Were you thinking Tenacious D Pick of Destiny like immediately?
I did get a little pick of destiny. Yeah. It took me a second to realize what was happening. And then I was like, oh, it's the coin. I had to go back and look at the cover. I'm like, oh, silver coin. Now I get it.
Yeah, right. So what I learned about this comic, and I only have this first issue. I think there's 15 of them total.
That's awesome.
You can get them in, I think it's 3 trade paperbacks, so 3 volumes. And a couple of things I learned, that the artist on here, his name is Michael Walsh. It's his story, and he did the art on all of them. However, each issue is a different writer. So this first issue, Chip Zdarsky, which is a pen name, I forgot his real name, but you know him from a bunch of other popular Marvel DC comics out there. There's a bunch of other well-known, I think Jeff Lemire is on one of, so a lot of well-known writers that you know from other comics are on this, and each of them tackle it. And so this one starts off with basically, you got a band in the 70s. And so, Chris, were you around for the disco era of the 70s?
I was, yeah. Actually, one of the first albums I ever owned, my aunt gave me the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Oh, man.
And I rocked to that for a long time.
I'll tell you what, I mean, it was a big deal. Well, and growing up in the Chicago area, they had the Disco Demolition. Steve Dahl, big radio personality, said, come to Comiskey Park, bring all your disco records, and we're going to burn them. And it was like this huge thing, pretty much like a riot, Yeah.
And
I could only imagine, like in that time period, like we're talking probably what, 78, maybe 79.
Yeah.
Everything must have just shifted. We went from no. Rock is dead. It's all disco for like what, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was. I can only imagine how crazy it was. So this struggling band, they're playing in bars and they're not really getting anywhere. And of course they're getting frustrated. And the guitarist, who's got some talent, is like, hey, the bar owner's like, do you want to sit in on the disco band? He's like, no, screw that. I'm not doing that. Trying to stay true to the roots, you know? And this is something that, Running Red is the band name here. So yeah. And it was cool because it's like, you know, what goes on in a typical rock band. And are we going to make it? There's going to be a guy from the record label in the audience.
Yeah.
And would you know it? He finds a coin. I think was it in his mom's stuff after she left, right?
Yeah. In a box of old things that they were getting rid of.
Yeah. So he finds this coin and all of a sudden it inspires him. He plays amazing guitar with it. And he realized, this is my ticket to the big time. And it happened. I mean, they got fans, they were rocking the house. It was a big deal. Like with anything, like if you were to find a genie in a lamp and you ask for your wishes and, you know, you get screwed because they take it literally.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. You know, there's a scene in here. I don't know if you've got like a favorite panel in the book, Chris, but for me, it was when he's shredding with the pick. And he's shredding so hard with the coin, I should say, not the pick. And his hand basically is just a bloody mess.
His finger's like a bloody stump.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man. I'm like, this is gonna be what I'm gonna show. And basically he can't stop, and the place is on fire at this point. So one hell of a rock show, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the frame where he was where he catches fire and like ignites.
Yeah, totally. It's something that, you know, and I will tell you, and I don't know if you ever had this experience at a concert, pre-internet, you know, the old days when you didn't know what was real. This is something that kids will never know, right? With AI and even just Google. You can check bullshit on everything. But back in the day, you never knew what was real or not. Is that part of the show? I remember seeing Metallica on their Load tour, and it was 3 nights, and this dude catches on fire in the show. I
saw that tour.
You saw that too, right? Did you? I mean, you're probably smarter than me. You were a couple years older, more wiser. Did you think it was legit or no?
Yeah, well, at first, I mean, I had heard some things about it already, but I was like, holy crap, that guy's on fire. And a guy like fall off the scap, like fall down, he's hanging by a rope. And
it was like a dude, it was like a roadie up on the rafters working on some lights, and then he falls off, he's on fire, and he's like hanging by cords in his foot. And I'm like, oh my God, stop the show. And all of a sudden, James like goes into fight fire with fire. I'm like,
yeah.
Is this the most badass thing ever? That this guy's on fire and they're playing fire? Do we not give a shit about this roadie? Are they that disposable, or is it part of the show? And I remember I was working at Best Buy at the time, and I remember the next day at work, it was the first day of the 3-day tour. And I went to one of my buddies and was like, I had a guy that caught on fire at my show. He's like, oh, that happened at my show too. Pretty cool, right? I was like, oh. There's no way funny. 2 guys caught on fire. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Like, why would I think that was real? It's so dumb, but I was in the moment. Funny. What could I say?
I just thought that they had done everything else. Their tours had gotten so big. They're like, let's just have fun here. This is funny.
Yeah. Especially after James's hand did really catch on fire a couple of years before. They're like, screw it. Let's make that a thing. So I can only imagine in the Running Red audience, and they're watching this dude shred, and he's on fire, and they're like, probably like, I don't know, is this part of the show?
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is.
Yeah.
So it's something. And then the next scene basically cuts to firemen are there. It's all. I mean, it gets real dark at the end because it's basically all just dead bodies and.
Yeah, because he was shredding so much that he had hypnotized the crowd, and then they all just burned up in the fire. Like they didn't even try to leave. They were still dancing.
Greatest rock show of all time or worst rock show of all time?
Greatest. And that's funny because at first I was like, well, it's like a cautionary tale. You don't try to take shortcuts. But then I was like, this guy died living the dream. Like he had that audience hypnotized and he was shredding. And, what else can you wish for? It's time to go.
You're exactly right. And, all thanks to the silver coin. And, the final scene in the comic basically is, one of the firemen grabbing the coin. So it's going to look like, and I haven't read any other issues, but I kind of looked online at kind of what to expect.
Yeah.
Almost like things will carry over into other time periods. So I was looking at in issue 2, there's going to be a girl that's bullied at summer camp, uses the coin for some revenge. There's one that's in the future where it's in the year 2400 and someone's trying to, find the coin. And so that's almost
awesome.
like a Highlander kind of thing where you're going throughout the years all with this coin, and each issue written by a different writer. So just really cool book that I was glad to share this with you, because I thought also with your sort of, your rock knowledge and everything out there, I thought it'd be perfect to talk about,
Yeah, I love it, man.
Doing what you love until you burst into flames. And that's like us on the radio,
Yes, exactly.
When the wires are shorting out, things aren't working all the time. Hey, keep talking.
Yeah, hair on fire. Let's go.
That's right. I love it. So overall, you enjoyed the comic then?
I did. Yeah, I liked it. And I did think, man, I would read more about it. I want to see what else the coin does.
It looks like there's, like I said, 15. So volume 1, issues 1 through 5. Volume 2, 6 through 10. Looks like one of them has a street magician. One of them is an arcade cabinet that changes the reality of something. There's
interesting,
really cool. I don't think it's ongoing anymore. I think it was a 3 volumes, 15 issues, but kind of cool too that one artist. A lot of times when comics do this, you get a little bit of a different take because it looks different. This is the case where it's one artist throughout the entire series, so it's going to look uniform, but each story, much like a Twilight Zone or Black Mirror kind of episode, is going to be its own thing on its own,
Yeah, it's awesome. I would check out more for sure.
Awesome. Well, if I come across a silver coin, I will send it your way.
Okay.
And we'll use that on the air. We'll maybe forge it to the microphone so they give us the ultimate hypnosis power over the airwaves.
That's awesome.
So in the comic world, Chris, there's obviously superhero movies we've been having for 20, 25 years, whatever it is. And if you were to have superpowers, if you were to have all right, what's my thing going to be? What would be your power, your thing? What would be your superhero name? And who would play you in the movie?
Man, gosh. I don't know. My superpower, and I'm watching, there's a show on Apple TV right now called Foundation.
Okay.
It's a sci-fi show. It's pretty good. Okay. And the villain in the show can control people's minds. Like he can just make people think whatever he wants.
Okay.
And so I think that would be my superpower, just to be able to
mind control.
And I think it's from, partially what we do on the air. Like we try to form people's, help people form opinions and that kind of thing. And so, to be able to manipulate people in that way would be pretty awesome.
Do you think you would use it in a subtle way, like to say advance your career and then only when needed kind of say use it for some more nefarious needs? Or were you looking at no, I'm going to be a villain with this?
Yeah, I think I would have complete power, like absolute control.
Absolute control. Did you ever see that movie? I think it was Steve Carell and Zach Galifianakis, Dinner for Schmucks. Did you ever see that?
I think I did, but I don't really remember.
There's a part in there where they're all crazy people basically, and it's the whole thing is a game where people try to bring the weirdest guest to this dinner party. Whoever and so Steve, there's I have brain control, I have mind control, and there's a part where I think it was Zach Galifianakis was and I release you. I was oh. It was and I release you. And I just remember that moment. Whenever I think of mind control, I think of, and I release you.
That's funny.
So if we're watching this movie and you've got your, at this point, you got to be a villain. If you're looking for full on absolute power there of this telepathy kind of thing going on there, what would be your villain name or the name of the movie?
I would be the thinker. The thinker. I would make you think what I want you to think.
The thinker. I like it. Maybe do is that like that old, was it like an old statue, the thinker pose? Yeah, perfect. And then, of course, who is going to be the one playing the role of the thinker?
Mark Ruffalo. Yeah.
Oh, good pick. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You've got some similarities in the face there. I like that. That's a good one there. Yeah. You were the first one to have a villain on all comics.fm. Everyone's be a superhero. You're the first super villain. So congrats on that.
But I mean, honestly though, you could use that power for good. You know,
you could
be like, you don't want to fight these wars anymore. Like, stop fighting war. Okay.
Yeah, little bit of a morality issue then. You're going to take away free will. So I could see you go in as a like a Superman, like you go in as a superhero and now people are questioning the morality of it all.
Like a Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Watchmen. Exactly. So when we talk, Chris, about the radio side of it all, because a big part of this show, I want to get people, you mentioned earlier about peeling the curtain back. And if somebody's watching that says, I'd like to get into this, or if I can't get into broadcasting, maybe podcasts, YouTube, content creation, what kind of advice would you give them, or would you even recommend it at all?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I got into radio because I wanted to go to concerts for free. Like that was the bottom line. And I've done that.
A very clear cut motive and objective. I love it.
Yes, I from an early age, I love going to shows, and I would see the people backstage, and I'd be like, man, how do I get to be one of those guys? Yeah. And so radio was in that. But I would say, and I've said it to many an intern, like, you have to be available for anything. Like, you have to be up for everything, and you have to be balls to the wall at it. You want to do the best job possible. You have to dedicate yourself fully to it. And
does that still hold true today, just as it did 20 plus years ago?
I think it does, honestly. Yeah. I really do, especially if you're young and you don't have a family, you don't have a life, like you don't need a lot of money, just go for it and see what happens. And that's what I did. And a lot of my career was just, this opportunity opened up and I was like, yes, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, doing it for 6-7 years or whatever, you just have to be open to it.
You mentioned about doing everything being open, but also you seem like everyone knows you and likes you. And so your history in the local community and local media community goes a long way. A lot of radio people are, I don't know, not always that nice. There's something, whatever it may be. And then they move, and that's great. You can kind of reinvent yourself. You still might burn a bridge, and someone's like, hey, did you work with so-and-so way back? People talk, but the fact that you've had such longevity in that market is not only testament to you doing everything, but also like, apparently you haven't pissed enough people off to not be wanted.
Not everybody yet. Yeah,
no. That's right.
I mean, that was another, I knew early on, like I wasn't the most talented person on the air. Like I wasn't, but just trying to get along with everybody and not burn any bridges and know that, you might be working for this station today, but you might be looking for a job next week and you might have to go across the street. So, I worked for a lot of people that were sabotaging, we'd have to go to other stations' remotes and events and sabotage it. But I always felt really bad.
Did you ever were you like pulling down banners and stuff like that? Were you never doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely bannering over. I remember one time we had this giant station truck and my boss was like, I want you to park it out in front of the competition's concert, right in front of the venue, our giant, and so things like that. And, it just felt dirty to me. So
I look at it like this, it might look like a quick win, like, hey, we got him.
Yeah.
I just don't think that stuff has the impact that people think it does. The positive impact. It has negative impact.
Makes you look petty. And
but I just don't think, I think it's better to how do we do the best job possible is a better mindset than how do we try to screw somebody else over.
Yeah. And I mean, especially in today's radio climate, it's so much different. Like we're such a small fraternity. Like, hell yeah, I will help you set up your remote, rather than try to sabotage you.
Yeah, good point. That's something that you're right. Because like in the old days,
I want radio to look good no matter who it is.
Right. Yeah. Really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that in the old days, it was a lot more like you're like defending your country. Like you're going to die for this place. There's no reassurance. We're going to have a tomorrow on the air. So why wouldn't you just do something nice one day? Of course you want to win. You want better ratings. But the fact of the matter is it's not really going to make a difference. And who knows? So that person that struggling to put their tent up that you walked over and all you did was hold a leg for them so they can do that. And all of a sudden they lose their morning show guy. They go, hey, this guy, Chris Austin, like he's a really good dude. Let's talk to him. Wouldn't you like to be that guy? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I even more than that though, like just that we're all in the same thing. Like we're all going through the same thing in this business. And so I just feel, I'd want them to help me. So that's how I look at it.
It is a little bit of, it's really weird. It's almost like using that like war analogy, instead of having these big superpowers fight, now we're all like little like third world countries that were like, can we all shoot slingshots at the same target? Because they're all shooting at both of us,
Yeah. Instead of having a 50-person army, we have a 1-person army.
Yeah. It's true though. Well, it's true though. And I think that it has to be the mindset to have, because, when we're talking about advice to somebody, I just don't think the sabotaging and war mentality. I mean, again, of course you want to win. You want to have the most revenue. You want to have the best ratings. Of course you do. But the fact of the matter is, it is a shrinking community of people. And why would can't you just win on good terms, I guess? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know that you spend a lot of years doing what you do, and you do a great job at it. You've probably had some opportunities to talk to some celebrities or famous people. Is there like one that was like the coolest ever? They're like, oh my God, I can't believe how awesome they were.
I mean, a couple of them. But the first one that comes to mind is Ronnie James Dio.
Okay, awesome.
Met Dio, and like Dio kind of the first rock shirt I ever owned was a Dio Last in Line shirt. And I just thought the shirt was cool. And I didn't know anything about Dio. And so he kind of got me into the world of metal. Yeah. And then when I met him, he was awesome. Like he was so kind and nice. And he really wanted to hang out and talk with us. And
when did you meet him? Like how far along? And was it still...
So no, it was early 2000s. It was probably 2002. And I think it was at the World Arena. It was the Scorpions, Deep Purple, and Dio.
Wow.
And I got to meet the Scorps that night too, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
But Dio was amazing, and it was a big deal to meet him, and I thought that was awesome. And the other one that sticks out is Vinnie Paul from Pantera. When it was the first Ozfest tour, I got to meet him, and he was incredible.
Awesome. Yeah. Scorgi, who we work with, Scorgi mentioned Vinnie Paul as well too. And that seems amazing, man. I'm a big Pantera fan as well, and I would have loved to meet Dime or Vinnie or anything else really, but especially those two. And obviously no longer with us, either one of them, but man, I can only imagine how cool. Did he convince you to have a drink or 100 drinks with him, or?
No, didn't have any drinks with him, but it was hanging out with him. Like you got the feeling like if he had more time, he would take you to the strip club, or like he wanted to hang out and he wanted to shoot the shit, and he was just down to earth, and it would have been really fun to party with Vinny.
That's cool. Was it with Pantera, or was he in Damage Plan? Was he?
No, it was Pantera.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel lucky enough that I got to see Pantera 4 times.
Wow.
OG Pantera.
That's cool.
And, it was amazing.
I only saw them once, and it was with White Zombie, I believe.
I saw that tour.
Yeah,
that was Red Rocks.
Yeah. Oh, even better. Yeah, that was a perfect place to see that. Yeah, man, something about that 90s metal too. Definitely a different animal altogether. And I remember you mentioned Dio, and like thinking back, I had older brothers, and my older brother Dean, he always had all these heavy metal shirts, and of course they always looked like satanic, like in our family, And I just remember like Dio. It's just probably because just the word itself looked like straight out of hell, like Dio. And I didn't even think, like when I was a little kid, I don't even think I knew it was a guy. I just thought it was like a band. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. And then he started like, oh, okay, Holy Diver, all these great songs. And then he had a history and Rainbow and other bands. And then of course, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, obviously we've been talking a lot about Ozzy lately, of course, for obvious reasons, but man, do not sleep on those Dio Sabbath albums. Those are pretty great too, you know?
Yeah, great albums. And I thought Dio brought the mysticism like from the 70s, like the Robert Plant mysticism. He brought that into the 80s metal. Like it was something like, I don't know, magical about it. So
it was different. That was we talked about the Pick of Destiny with Silver Coin, and
he was
also in there. He's like, Dio, can you hear me? You know, and very magical, very mystical. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, another one that, you know, one thing too, Chris, you've taken advantage of in a good way those opportunities because these guys you mentioned are no longer with us, and you know, you've been able to kind of have these experiences that, like you said at the beginning, you wanted to go see free concerts. And radio was a conduit to do that, but it's given you a career. But also, I mean, these are experiences that 99% of the people are never going to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And, you know, the cool thing is having children. My daughter is getting ready to turn 20. And so I was able to let her meet all of her heroes. Like we were able to go backstage for 21 Pilots and Imagine Dragons and like all the, you know, like crazy shit that I would have only dreamed of doing when I was a kid. So that's awesome. Been special too.
Well, automatically number one dad right there, because you are, I mean, who else can do that? Or who else could say, oh, you want to meet those guys? It's amazing, you know?
It's so much more than, I mean, I don't know. It's not about the money, obviously, working in radio. It's about the experience and the, you know, the things that you're allowed to do that other people just aren't. So,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I always try to remember, like, when I'm not having a great day in the radio business, I try to remember when you're in the public spotlight, not only do you have to put on a happy face just because it's the gig, like, you know, Disney, don't take the goofy head off. You're goofy all day, you know? But even more than that, being required to be in, you know, in good spirits, that's secondary. To me, it's everybody thinks we have the coolest job in the world. And who am I to make them not believe in that experience? Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, if I was a mall Santa, like, who am I to say who I really am, you know? But that happens a lot. Like people, like, it doesn't matter. Like the guy that listens to you every single day could be making 5 times what you're making. You think he's got the best life. The dude's golfing half his life and he's got it made. He's like, no, man, dude, Chris Austin has it made. And I think that's just like one of the weirdest and coolest at the same time. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like those moments where it's like, he thinks like I'm the shit. So I need to make sure that he remembers like he's not wrong. Right.
Yeah. Try to, I don't know. Yeah.
Are you a type, I had this in my last episode with Danielle where we talked about being on all the time. Do you find yourself when someone recognizes you in public and you're just yourself, like, do you get annoyed with that? Or are you like, I know what, I'll talk to everybody. I'm still on at all times.
No, I mean, if somebody comes up and they say they listen to the station and they listen to the show, you know, they deserve me being on for sure.
That's cool.
Like I would never be like, get away from me.
You're not going to do like what I did one time. I pretended to have a phone call and walked away.
No, I'm not saying I've never done that, but I mean,
and they're like, I can see the screen. There's no call there.
There are certainly listeners that I would, you know, put my head down and, you know, hope that they walk away. But, you know, for the most part, you know,
they're happy to see you. You know, I know
those people don't exist. We don't have jobs. So
100%. Yeah. And I think the people we mentioned, I would say they're such a small group because the people that I don't want to deal with are the people that, I hate to say it, but it's a small group that are only trying to use you for something. Yes. I want concert tickets. I want free whatever. And you think I'm in a King Superstore? Do you think I'm going to have backstage passes in my pocket? Like to get, you know, and also we have rules. We have FCC regulated contest rules. You're the guy that has to write the rules and get them approved. Like people think, but so that to me, I agree. Those are the only people that are like, I don't want to be a dick, but like, come on, we're not even just
sometimes
cool.
You gotta be.
Just be cool, you know?
Yeah. But I do think, and you did this job too, doing the promotions, like I love that. I love sending people to shows. Like, that's my favorite thing to do. And if I can send somebody to a concert, we went to the Cake concert, and one of our winners, it was her first ever concert. And I'm like, man, what a special thing. Like, we get to do that. So
you gave somebody a moment in their lifetime that they're never going to forget. I mean, you're and they stick out in my brain, even from years ago. I remember there was somebody that got screwed buying concert tickets online. Like I think someone found them on Facebook, and then in a group, they clicked on a link and gave their credit card number, and they never got any tickets. And I think it was to see Chicago, maybe. Yeah. And I told them, come down to the station, and I gave them my tickets that I was going to go to the show with. And they went and bought me a shirt, came back, and you didn't have to do any of that, because, concert shirts are no longer $20, by the way. Yeah. And so it's like, but they were so appreciative. And I wasn't trying to do it for any kind of publicity or points or whatever. It was just like, man, that would suck if I got screwed. If I went and bought tickets and didn't, and almost like, and then the only thing I mentioned on the air was, hey, like, unless it's Ticketmaster or if you have to use a reseller, StubHub, like somebody that's recognizable, not just a guy on Facebook, because I was like, at the very least, I got to turn into a cautionary tale. But those are the moments where you're right. You can only do that in this job,
Yeah, I love it.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for coming on Comics.fm. I'm glad you enjoyed Silver Coin. Anyone watching, if you want to get your hands, we got Comics.fm mugs, shirts, stickers. You got a sticker, right, Chris? I hope so. That's a big deal.
I did.
Okay, there we go. I mean, I'll tell you what, comic book and sticker. So even if you thought it sucked, even if it sucked, you're still coming out ahead. That's the beauty of joining me on Comics.fm. Make sure to follow everyone on social media, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We've got a YouTube version as well. You can watch us because, hey, faces for radio. And of course, listen, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Chris Austin, 98.1 KKFM afternoons. Listen to him, but make sure you listen to him after you listen to me.
Yeah, listen to JP first.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Later.